You know, it's that time once again. Hello everyone and welcome back guys to a brand new video where today we're here back with pre-season testing for F1 My Team Season 6. Yes, back in Sakir once again, ready to kickstart an all-new campaign. A massive thank you to all of you guys for all the support at the end of last season, but yeah, now we look towards Season 6. Of course, 212 Motorsport taking the crown right at the end of last year. They're snapping it away from Red Bull. They only had 1 year at the top before 212 Motorsport came in, and safe to say this year, I think brash, it might be the way you describe our livery for Season 6 there. We're going to be rocking the number 1 with a very, very cool, at least in my opinion, all gold Formula 1 car ready for the new year. You know, often you don't stay at the top of Formula 1 for very long if this career mode has proved anything, so I thought we may as well try and rock it this year. New teammate and new power unit though as well is certainly going to make things very, very interesting in this year. We couldn't ignore the calls from you guys. Pierre Gasly has finally been signed to 212 Motorsport, ready for Season 6. Absolutely carried AlphaTauri last year and has done so throughout the entirety of this career mode. Very, very excited to see what he can do when he's not having to try and give up places for Red Bulls in GPs week in, week out there. And like I said, a whole new power unit as well. Yeah, Honda weren't giving us the reliability or the confidence that we really needed anymore, so we have gone to the big daddy. Yes, we have signed with Mercedes AMG, ready for Season 6. That now means we've used every different power unit on F1 2021. Of course, started out with Ferrari way back in Season 1, then went to Honda for, Red Bull, Renault even, I should say, for a couple of years, and then of course went to Honda for Season 4 and Season 5. But Mercedes power ready for Season 6. We are going to be working quite closely with Mercedes AMG Petronas this year, and we'll have to wait and see as to what it can do for us. Winter testing pace looks good, but you never quite know what will happen in Formula 1 there. Red Bull, though, leave their driver lineup once again unchanged, ready for Season 6. Again, obviously sticking with Honda power as well. They felt they were a bit unlucky last year. You know, the 212 Motorsport car was very, very difficult to predict some weekends, but of course, Red Bull and 212 Motorsport dominated Season 5. They're the only two teams to win Grand Prix throughout the course of the year. Some weekends, Red Bull would be absolutely unstoppable. Other weekends, you know, 212 Motorsport would just have that little bit of an advantage, but Red Bull hoping this year they can try and capitalise on reliability that mainly cost Sergio Perez, but of course, yeah, really hampered Max Verstappen at the Brazilian Grand Prix in the penultimate round of the year, allowing 212 Motorsport to head into Jeddah with just a bit of a clear-cut advantage and, of course, walk away with the title. Red Bull head into the new campaign with still theoretically the second best car on paper, but of course we never read too much into that as we scroll further down the grid. You know, things can get a little bit unpredictable, but of course, yeah, Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez back once more there. Of course, Red Bull hoping they can try and get back on the top step once again there after being shown up by 212 Motorsport last year. You know, still got a very, very quick car, still got two very, very capable drivers as well. Of course, both drivers winning Grand Prix last year. How they'll fare heading into the new year is anybody's guess. Moving on though into team number 3, of course, is Ferrari. Started last year with not exactly the best car in the world, but really did come on strong, as I feel like we say every single season in the My Team career mode. Carlos Sainz and Charles Leclerc still at the prancing horse team there. Of course, the Scarlet Ferrari as well. Theoretically, this year, looks like Ferrari have made a minor step backwards there, haven't adjusted to the new regulations as well as other teams around them. But, you know, they always get the most out of the car, does Carlos Sainz and Charles Leclerc, and excited to see if they can finally get back on the top step once more. Got very, very close to Red Bull and 212 Motorsport right at the end of last year, but just couldn't quite string it together. You know, both teams were working overtime to make sure they maximise their points right at the end of last season's campaign. But, you know, Charles Leclerc, he took away a couple of pole positions there. Carlos Sainz was very, very quick over one lap as well. It's Ferrari's race pace that they still struggled with ever so slightly last year, and like I said, seems like they haven't quite adjusted to the new regulations as well as other teams around them. Talks are they're around about 5th place, down 1 from their 4th place finish at the end of last season. But, of course, things can change very, very quickly in the world of Formula 1, and if anything, if the past has taught us much, it's that Ferrari tend to pile on upgrades early on in the year and then really have a car that can fight right towards the end. They just need to try and get a car that can fight at the start of the season to make sure they're right there battling for the World Championship come season's end. It's been far too long since Ferrari wrapped up a World Championship. Maybe Season 6 can finally be their year once more in Formula 1. Next up, though, we go into one of the most hyped teams as we head into Season 6, and that is Mercedes. Big upgrades coming from the team behind the scenes there, and of course, yes, signing with 212 Motorsport as well means that both teams can try and use each other for as much information as is legal by the FIA there. But of course, the big news from Mercedes last year, of course, was the retirement of Lewis Hamilton. Big shoes to fill. And a bit like they did in my F1 2020 My Team career mode, Mercedes have gone with an F2 driver. I genuinely don't know why. Of course, Yuki Tsunoda did come on very strong last year. He seems to have taken sort of the top step now at the team with Hamilton's retirement there. And he has been joined by Jack Aitken. I don't really know why either. You know, really, you would think a team like Mercedes could probably have the pick of the grid still. And I was honestly expecting this to cause, you know, a big reshuffle in the whole driver lineup. But yeah, I guess Mercedes have seen something in Jack that not many of us have. I mean, he wasn't particularly good in our Oscar Piastri F2 career mode either. But like I said, Mercedes, though, very quick in winter testing. We give Jack Aitken stick, but he was actually the fastest person at the end of winter testing here from Sakir. So whether that'll turn into race-winning potential, we'll have to wait and see. They, though, do go into the new season, like I said, with theoretically the best car, but really the gaps are so small at the front of the order there. It is going to be very difficult to tell. But can Tsunoda mount a championship challenge? Will the unknown in Jack Aitken be able to be right up there and rustle other drivers' feathers? All will wait and see there. And yeah, fingers crossed Mercedes are back at the front. Another team last year that always seemed to do really well, of course, was AlphaTauri. And of course, losing their best driver in Pierre Gasly has created a lot of uncertainty down at the Faenza base squad. Lando Norris has done a direct swap though with Pierre, so their new drive up for Season 6 will be Lando Norris and Guan Yu Zhou. Not the most inspiring lineup in the world, but, you know, Lando Norris did win a race last season very early on, of course, back at Shanghai. Whether he's going to be able to try and find some of that fighting form at AlphaTauri is another question. And maybe, you know, if Sergio Perez decides to retire towards the end of the year, you know, could Lando end up at Red Bull alongside Max Verstappen? That's a move in real life that I potentially see happening down the line as well there. But AlphaTauri heading into the new year seems like they made a big step backwards, unfortunately. They ended last year with the 5th best car. Not that Pierre Gasly made it look any worse than sort of 3rd or 4th. And they've gone back down to 7th this year. So we might see them fighting around, you know, sort of for the tail end of points every once in a while there. But Lando Norris and Guan Yu Zhou have got their work cut out heading into the new year there. Fingers crossed they can try and do everything possible with the car. But yeah, the signs aren't particularly strong down at AlphaTauri this year. However, we have been proven wrong before. And I'm sure, yeah, they will always seem to find something at AlphaTauri and can often end up fighting way beyond what we believed was possible. Next up, though, is another team last year that we had a lot of expectation and hype around and then really just did not deliver. And that, of course, is McLaren. And I hate to hype it up once again, but it does seem once more that McLaren might have made some good step forward. They have got a very good lineup in Daniel Ricciardo and Valtteri Bottas. Plenty of experience between the two drivers, of course, now being both in the sport for the better part of 15 years. 6th last season after theoretically on paper having a car that seemed close enough to fight for race victories. It just never really happened for McLaren last year. They could never quite get the setups working in a way that meant they were even remotely fighting towards the front. Ricciardo had a couple of very good races late on in the year, of course, retiring from the Saudi Arabian Championship finale when battling with Yuki Tsunoda and Max Verstappen for a podium. And of course, yeah, it was not a year of highs for McLaren. They need to refocus, regroup, and really try and work out what they're doing with the car. Like we said, on paper, a very quick machine now in Formula 1, but it just doesn't quite seem to click for them more often than it does. However, you know, a team like McLaren, they've bounced back from much worse in the past. We just want to see them fighting right towards the front, and yeah, with these rule changes, do seem to have created quite a lot of parity between the top teams. Can McLaren finally be back to winning form this year? Only time will tell. Aston Martin, though, are another team that have never really been particularly right towards the front here of F1 2021 My Team career mode. Of course, Lance Stroll took the team's one and only victory all the way back in Season 1 at the French Grand Prix there. And yeah, pretty much since then, they've gone under the radar for the most part in this career mode. George Russell and Stroll, though, do still seem to be pretty happy at the team. Of course, Stroll's there basically for life. George Russell, I genuinely thought he was going to go to Mercedes for Season 6. Why they picked up Jack Aitken instead, I don't really know, in all honesty there. Doesn't seem like the early signs are good, though, for Aston Martin. Of course, 2-2 Motorsport have kind of slotted into that place of working quite closely with Mercedes that Aston Martin used to be in. So seems like they've gone from, of course, 7th last year. On paper, they seem to have the 9th fastest car heading into the new year. So I'll have to wait and see as to what Aston Martin can do. George Russell, though, I'm sure is going to be hungry once more. He desperately wants to prove himself to Mercedes. Why on earth they haven't picked him up in this career mode, I still don't quite understand at the end of the day there. But yeah, George Russell and Stroll, though, always seem to be pretty even in the championships as well. So fingers crossed, you know, Stroll is starting to deliver more and more performance with the team. But they desperately need a big break. Fighting back towards the front there, at least, you know, fighting for good, consistent points as well, I think should be Aston Martin's goal this year. But yeah, the signs aren't looking good as we head into the new campaign. Another team, though, that has very much flown under the radar throughout most of this career mode was Alpine, and things don't look very good again as we head into the new year. There's so much budget for the effective Renault-based squad still, and they're just not delivering with it. Esteban Ocon feels like he's basically on a sinking ship at this point. Nikita Mazepin as well, the Russian money hasn't really helped the team make any progress. 8th last year, and heading into the new campaign, they seem to have quite clearly the second worst car on the Formula 1 grid there. No real prizes for guessing who has got the worst car at the moment. Alpine, of course, yeah, with Renault power, the only team still rocking the Renault power units. Reliability is woeful, always has been, and doesn't really look like they're going to make much progress on that, and now they haven't even got a car that can back it up either. The signs aren't good for Alpine as we head into Season 6 there. Whether they're going to be able to recover, of course, Ocon did score the team a handful of points last year, you know, sort of right there when it really mattered, but yeah, it's not looking good for Alpine as we head into Season 6. So whether they can spring a surprise, whether they can sort of mount a comeback as well, only time will tell. But if I were a gambling man, I wouldn't be putting much money on Renault this year. Another team, though, that we've hyped up in the past and sometimes haven't quite delivered what we would expect, of course, is Williams. Ilott and Latifi managed to stay both once again at the Doralton Capital-owned team. Mexico, of course, was their only point last year, a bit under the radar. That 7th place for Callum Ilott last year meant that Williams guaranteed themselves P9 in the Drivers' Championship. But heading into the new year, again, like we said a couple of seasons ago, Williams seem to have made really good progress. They walk into the new campaign with, theoretically, the 6th best car on the Formula 1 grid. However, Williams have a tendency to make massive gains over winter testing and then don't do a single upgrade over the course of the year. They seem to then try and hold back resources, ready to try and mount a challenge, ready for the next season, and just kind of find themselves slipping backwards and then playing catch-up once more. So whether that's going to be another tale for Williams this year, we'll have to wait and see. You know, I think it was Season 4 or Season 5, I really hyped them up. And of course, yeah, then they didn't really deliver in the way we would have wanted. So Williams this year, I want to see them fighting for points sort of week in, out. Whether it's going to happen or not, though, I don't want to say with any confidence just yet. You know, we want to see Williams fighting further and further up the order, but they definitely need to put more development in as the season goes on. Like I said, wouldn't put much money on them, but you never know. If ever there's a team that can try and fight back, it's always going to be Williams as well. You know, Ilott, such a young, inspiring driver as well in the team. You know, had a rough couple of seasons around Williams and McLaren, but fingers crossed this year is going to be him and Nicholas Latifi's year to finally prove themselves and fight a little bit further up the grid. Another team, though, that looks to be trying to move forward once more is Alfa Romeo. Again, another team that have been very quiet in this career mode. To be honest, I think the most we've really sort of seen in Alfa over the last few years is just Christian Lundgaard blocking me at inopportune times. They, of course, finished 10th last year. They've stuck with their lineup of Antonio Giovinazzi and Christian Lundgaard. They have now got the 8th best car, though, jumping Aston Martin and Alpine there after theoretically last year having the worst car on paper, but Haas, you know, were really just nowhere to be seen throughout a lot of the campaign. Haas made good progress late on in the year to really sort of battle it out once more with Alfa Romeo and Williams, but, you know, Alfa and Williams have got such a bigger budget than the American outfit that, fingers crossed, for those two teams this year, we might be able to see them fighting, at least with other cars. You know, if we could sort of see Alpine, Aston, Williams, Alfa Romeo and Haas sort of battling it out, you know, if we get a wild and crazy race, maybe there could be some points available for a lot of these teams there. But it seems like, you know, when you sort of get behind Williams in 6th, there's a big drop-off towards these last few teams on the grid. So, Sainz not looking particularly brilliant. Of course, Giovinazzi and Lundgaard, again, not a particularly inspiring lineup either. And yeah, I've said it a lot, but I wouldn't put money on Alfa Romeo as we head into Season 6. Though, whether they can spring a surprise, you always do wonder with Alfa Romeo, only time will tell. And last and probably least, Alfa Romeo, the team that finished behind them last year, of course, is Haas F1. And yeah, signs aren't looking good for Haas this year. You know, there was so many talks about sort of new levels of parity in the sport. You know, a lot of teams very close on performance. Haas have somehow gone backwards when they couldn't really fall very far either. The gap from them up to Alpine, which is theoretically the 10th fastest car this year, is basically the same as the gap between Alpine and the top performing car as we head into Season 6. So Mick Schumacher and Robert Schwartzman have got their work cut out this year. Yeah, it's not looking great on paper for them, and winter testing pace is not looking good either. They were dangerously close to the 107% rule on more than one occasion last year as well. So I would not be holding my breath for Haas this time around. We desperately want to see them at least fighting other cars. And they did, to be fair, towards the end of last year, have a car that was capable of matching Alfa Romeo and Williams when things went their way. But it doesn't look like that's going to be the case for very long as we head into Season 6 there. Yeah, Haas got a lot of work to do, and fingers crossed, you know, by the end of the year, they can at least be within touching distance of Alpine and Aston Martin. So there we go then, all the news and reviews ready for Season 6 of the My Team Career Mode. Of course, again, not many driver changes up and down the roster, but a couple of interesting ones that we'll have to wait and see how they suit heading into the new year. The calendar remains fairly unchanged as well, a lot of reoccurring tracks from F1 2021 there. Bahrain will be our season hoper, and then we head back to Shanghai, ready for round 2 after a dramatic race last year on Shanghai's return to Formula 1. Imola and Portimao, of course, returning, and then we've got the jewel in the Formula 1 crown. That is is the Monaco Grand Prix before Azerbaijan there. Canada makes its return to the Formula 1 paddock as well, with France, Austria and Britain then making up the run before the summer break. Belgium and Italy, and then Singapore getting dropped ready for Season 6 there before we head back to South America and the Americas. USA, Mexico and Brazil before our second championship finale in Jeddah makes up this 16 race season. Plenty of anticipation, plenty of hype as we head into the new year. Like I said in a video a couple of days ago, we will hopefully be back Friday night ready for round 1 of the new campaign as well. But thank you all so much for watching this video as well. Let me know which teams you're hyped for. Let me know where you think 2 and 2 Motorsport will finish this year. Pierre Gasly joining me. Mercedes power units in the back of the car. Things are looking very good as we head into Season 6. But thank you all so much for the continued support on this series. I can't believe we're going to smash through 100 episodes by the end of this year. And yeah, we'll be back very soon with round 1 of the year. We stay in Sakir. You guys do not want to miss it. None of these videos would be possible without the help of our channel members, so a massive thank you to all of the names you see on your screens currently for helping support the channel. You can join them by clicking the join button down below, and yeah, thank you once again to everyone that continues all the insane support on my work.